What's going on, y'all? It's J Smo Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Here on the other side, some of you are here either mad at me, happy with me, somewhere in between. Some of you were like, who the fuck was that white guy on the panel? But here we are. This is my 2024 COTY thought process and breakdown, as I was for the third time straight on the Champion of the Year panel. First of all, I want to thank you to Jay Black for having me. Obviously, this is something that when I started media, it's the one thing I wanted to do, man. I love battle rap, and I love the COTY process, man. I think that MVP-esque award is a great thing that keeps the competitive nature of the sport going. So it's always an honor to be up there and also be talking with a bunch of other great gentlemen in the culture when it comes to Jay Black, my brother M. Lang, Chilla Jones, a legend and former COTY winner, Geechee Gotti, you know what I'm saying, to the side of me, 3-time Champion of the Year winner, even EK, who, big shout out to him for making really most of the production happen, but even coming in at the end and giving his vote for the final two to help determine COTY. Also want to give a huge shout out to Tay-Rock, your 2024 Champion of the Year. Of course, we'll be having a conversation a little bit when I do my list breakdown about kind of my role in that. Obviously, the big vote switch, which I'm sure people want to hear. If you haven't heard my opinion on it, you'll hear my opinion on it again here. But huge shout out to him, long time in the making. I've said it multiple times. I do believe that he is, if not the greatest battle rapper of all time, one of the highest names in that discussion. I've called him the greatest before. I think Hitman Holla's got a good argument too, the more you look at it. But listen, what has Rock not done? And now on top of that, he is going to add a COTY belt to it. He is more than deserving for the year he had. But we're going to break this down. I've done my last 2 breakdown videos. First thing we're going to talk about is a couple possible snubs, people that barely didn't make it, or I was hearing some noise for, some of those main takeaways. And then, of course, we're going to look at the list itself from 20 to 1. I'll be pretty quick. I'm not going to name all these resumes. I'll just kind of say if I like the spot, if I didn't like the spot, and just break down the list. But before we get into that, the one thing I want to do is I always like to show my list. I'm not going to go over it super in detail. We're going to go over the list that we created, but here, or maybe here, you're going to see a picture of my 2024 list that I walked into the building with. Obviously, I think most of the names stayed the same. I think there was 2 names that got added to the final list that didn't make mine. And then you could move a couple things around, but I think Rex, I had 2 spots away from where he landed. I think I had Eunice and Sick about where they were at. I had JC maybe a little higher in hindsight. Probably could have dropped him a couple spots as is, but I don't even think he was that far off. John and Jazz flipped, T-Top a little higher, just stuff like that, which I'll talk about a little bit as I go over the final list. But just wanted to give you guys that perspective so you could see the 20 that I walked in with. Because some people I've heard be like, they should walk in with their own 20. We do. You know what I'm saying? We simply do. So that's just my little bit of evidence there. But like I said, first thing we're going to talk about before we get into the list breakdown is those complaints or possible snubs that I heard about. And to go through those potential snubs real quick, first one is Bill Collector, who I explained pretty clearly on the panel why I didn't have him up there, and it seemed like a few people agreed with me as well. But here's my thing, right? So Bill started out with 2 very big battles. The Rock battle, which finished actually 3rd in voting for Battle of the Year, tied with Rock versus Big K. And on my personal top 5 battles list, it finished at number 4. So I think very highly of that battle. And then him versus Chess, where he bodied Chess. And everyone's been bodying Chess, but he had his material really made it another type of thing. It was a big battle for that Battle Academy card. So he started out good, even had a Coach Corleone win that kind of went under the radar on TOS. But then he's got the JC battle on Battle Academy. Loses very clear. I had it 3-0, right? Then he's got the Ill Will battle on Winter Madness, another big battle. Losing, they both choke in the first, but Will kind of still had a good to great second and third. Bill kind of fell off from there. And then he even battled King Yoshimitsu and I battle, which I think kind of relates more to the Coach Corleone battle in terms of stature, how important the battle is, and kind of doesn't bring his rounds. You know what I'm saying? He loses to King Yoshimitsu. So he did a lot of good. Chess, Rock, Coach Corleone, JC, Ill Will, and King Yoshimitsu. And I feel like that's a pure 50-50 where he started the year so good, completely finished it on a blunder, and I think that was enough for me. I have him in my honorable mentions. I had 3 honorable mentions. So I have him as like a top 23 guy. If you wanted to like argue him up to 20, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but I don't think it was like some egregious snub if like unless you just ignore that he lost to JC and Ill Will in big battles as well. Clearly, like debatably, both of them 3-0. So I still think he did great things. I just didn't have him making the list. Then we could talk about J2, which I think this is pretty simple. He had a lot of battles and he had like good work in between. You know, he battled K Profit. I had him winning that battle. Him and JC is like not a very good battle, but it's debatable. And obviously JC made the list, so I think that's more of a pro than anything. A couple other in between battles there, but the big thing is like when he started getting his big looks, the Twerk battle's a body bag. The A-Ward battle's a body bag. Him and Av, it's one of his bigger opponents. It's just a one-rounder, so it's not doing too much either way. I had him clearly losing, but I just don't think he had enough wins versus, like, reputable comp that was actually moving the units. Doesn't mean he wasn't putting in good work, but this is top 20 work, and I still think J2 had a good year, but there's a difference between just having a good year and having a top 20 year, so I still think it's positive, but when you do get those biggest looks, at least, like, really sealing the deal on one of them is, like, a huge positive. Would have been easier to argue, but I don't love the JC battle. I actually edged JC the battle. I'm not mad if someone has J2, it's debatable. And then I get you getting like not just losing, but getting body bagged and not very like great performances versus Twerk versus A-Ward. So that hurts him more than anything in my opinion. That's another reason he didn't make it. And I didn't even hear too much about J2. But then the last one that's a potential snub, and I know this is the one that quite a few people mentioned, is Snake Eyes, right? And listen, preface this with obviously I had my words for Snake Eyes recently. He doesn't like me. I don't like him. That is what it is. But my integrity for the game isn't based around just like one guy. You know what I'm saying? And we don't get along. And I've said it a lot of times. I think Snake Eyes still had a good year, similar to how J2 had a good year. Like, he did some positive things. Him versus K Walker was a good battle for Battle Academy that I had him on the losing side of, but it's pretty debatable. Him versus True Foe, even though he went on 3 after and then admit he lost to True Foe before those comments started coming in, right? But I actually had him beating True Foe on the rewatch. He beat Riggs in a judge battle, and I think those are the battles that people are kind of mentioning when they're like, well, how'd you not put Snake up there for that? Well, here's a couple things. First of all, his best opponent he battled is T-Top, who I don't know if everybody saw that. It's on the app. Washed him 3-0. Like, T-Top won the battle clear. He's fairly entertaining too, but he lost 3-0. Lost in a couple other shots. Like, he went out to Black Ice, battled Profilini, and lost that one. And then I had him losing to J2. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could not control that room. He showed bad battle rap IQ, and you got your people that on the rewatch gave it to him. You know, I think my little comment about him only getting love on the internet, those YouTube comments loving him, kind of aged like fine wine. But this is still credible stuff. I mean, that's kind of how a lot of people have him winning the True Foe battle. I had him winning on the rewatch. But the thing is, if I told you, and they're debatable outside of Riggs, that his main things he's hanging his hat on are K Walker, Riggs, and True Foe. If you put those wins on someone else's resume that's not as outspoken and kind of always, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all are hating on me. Like, that's not like champion level wins that just shoo you in. Respect to those brothers. I think True Foe had a sneaky good year as well. Riggs had some heat when they were going into battle. He battled K Walker in Philly, but like, that's not the type of threats that's getting pretty much anyone else on this list. It would be one of the weaker strength of schedules of anyone on the entire list, and he's losing a lot of these battles, and I'm not the only one on the panel that felt this way. I think Geechee Gotti said it himself. I know Lang over there said it. There was really no gripes over here from Black or Chilla, so there's a couple battles that he's won. I think he's gotten better in that department. I think he improved across the board. Obviously, he's a promo guy. Performance-wise, he did a little bit better. Material-wise, he did a little bit better, and maybe he's not putting up really that many W's, but some of those are debatable. I think it's a step in the right direction, but a step in the right direction does not make you a top 20 battler. And like I said, his best opponent in T-Top lost that battle clear as possible, and then wins like K Walker, Riggs, and True Foe, which 2 of them are debatable. They're not even just clear wins. To me, that's not enough to just shoo in a guy in the top 20. Felt very confident keeping him off the list. Doesn't mean he did not have a good year. Just means he's not a top 20 battle rapper. And then as for the list itself, like I said, starting from number 20, we had Real Deal, who was in my honorable mentions. So he ended up just making the list itself. So kind of like set off my numbers a bit, but of course I'm not mad at it. Ended up pushing off guys like Clone and Capo, who were on like my original list, and were on the list at one point. But as time goes on with COTY, it's kind of a tradition. The first guys to go at 20 and 19 usually get bumped off as we start going through names. Love the Jay the Nightwing battle from Real Deal. He had good fights, good consistency. From there at 19, we had Eunice. I don't think anybody's mad at Eunice making the list. Won Leader of the New Class award. So King won Rookie of the Year, but Eunice won like the leader of all the newer talent over the last few years. Nitty and JC battles are great. I had him going 1-on-1. I had him beating JC, losing to Nitty, but they're both good looks. Even when he lost the Judge Battle of the franchise, he lost as a favorite, which isn't great, but even that footage is good. The Fat Say So battle in Detroit, he did good things, man. So I think you could even argue him up a couple spots if you wanted. Real Sick at 18, 4 battles just like last year. I think the Nitty and Clips battle both kind of like helped put him up there. But you know, lighter year for him than maybe last year, but just goes to show Real Sick still has great ability to even make the top 20 there. Official at 17, I'll tell you right now, that threw me off. Official wasn't in my thought process. I was shocked when her name came up. They debated it well and kind of like sold me on it a bit, right? I think there was just momentum in her direction, but that one caught me off guard. But even then, her versus Vixen, best battle amongst the ladies that they had all year. Beat Low So Clear. The T-top loss, only having 4 battles and having the ugly T-top loss, I didn't like. But she ended up making the list, so congratulations to Official. T-Rex, who I said couple spots down from where I had him. Love the Chilla Jones and Bad News performance, but I gotta be honest, he lost to Swamp, and then he beat Clean, but it's not a good battle. So, like, I'm really basing him there. Like, he has 2 bad performances for real, and then 2 great performances. I love the great performances, depending on how much you love them. You could have him a couple spots higher as well, like I did, but I think it's also respectable for him to go at 16. JC at 15 dropped 4 spots from where I had him, but you know, he did good things. The J2 battle I didn't love. For him, although I had him winning, but you know, pretty much everyone's got him beating Bad News. He was good in that. Him versus Eunice is a very good battle. I have him losing on an edge, but it's extremely debatable. He beat Bill Collector. He beat Hollow to Don. Like, these are just good wins. It's just a good case, and maybe I overstated his material compared to some other people a little bit, maybe his impact, but I still think that that's a good year for JC to make the list. The women as a whole, because I got Coffee at 14 and Hustle at 13. And there's going to be talk about how the WOTY panel is its whole own thing. I still think Coffee had a great year. I think just those couple chokes, the Suge battle that they kind of quit on at Queen of the Ring hurt her a bit. But her strength of schedule was crazy. I still think it's a great year for Coffee. And I wouldn't be surprised come WOTY, we had Jazz a couple spots ahead, right? Hustle, Coffee. I wouldn't be surprised if Coffee wins WOTY. You know what I'm saying? It's that competitive a year for them. And then at 13, Hustle had some good fights. Fonz, Swamp, beat the hell out of Chess. And the thing is, I had her losing to Fonz and Swamp, so I would have had her under Coffee, but the way it was debated out with the criteria, more performance, more impact, you know, there's just some things going her way. So she ended up at 13, Coffee at 14, John at 12. Listen, Cassidy did him greasy, man. And the thing is, it's not just like Cassidy did him greasy so he didn't battle. He didn't replace it with like a Fonz battle or some other great 5th battle. He started out so good, top 3 for people in terms of just like speaking on the award early on in the year, but can only do so much with 4. And even though I had him 4-0, I had him beating Frack, debatable. Beating Coffee, debatable, a little bit lesser quality. The serious battles on 3 days prep, so he gets extra points. Even the Calico body, so it's like a good 4. I had him at 10. You know, so you could argue him a couple spots higher. He ended up at 12. I don't think it's the craziest thing. He did the best he could do with 4 battles. Still a great year for John. Jazz at 11. 3rd straight year at 11. How about that? Rock performance is doing a lot of carrying. But if 30ing Rock, the fashion she did it, I don't think anybody's shocked that she would be there. Coffee. I personally had Coffee edge in that battle. A lot of people got Jazz, though. And then you got complimentary work. Capo, good battle. Chirac, great performance, great W. Bizzlebon in the UK. I know not everybody loves that, but he's a champion there. That was a good W. So just another good year for Jazz. She's impactful. She's got a standout performance with the Rock battle. And it's just solid. Fonz at 10. Solid. You know, like some of these spots are just solid. Fonz beat Geechee, great battle with Trez, good battle with Hustle, just doing his thing. One of the top 10 pound for pound guys in the world, in my opinion. So it's good that he's there. A-Ward at 9. A-Ward would have been higher Av happened to him. I think I said that on the panel, but just the Av loss was tough, but the Hollow battle's good. The Rock battle's good. All his complimentary, he's always got 15 to like 18 battles where he's beating the likes of Gwitty, Bangs, 100 bullets, but he had a couple real top tiers to hang his hat on, body J2, so there was just good things he did. Just 9 though, that Av loss takes him down a bit. It was very impactful. T-Top at 8, so I kind of killed T-Top on the panel a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I know I got at him for, people said he was undefeated. He wasn't undefeated. He was more inconsistent than people gave him credit for, but he still has the performance versus Chef Trez, the performance versus Jerry West. Both of those are great. 3-0 wins. He beat Danny Official and Twerk. I hate the footage, but he beat 3 other top tiers clear, so they has to add to your case. But when I don't like a lot of your wins, like him and Twerk is not a very replayable battle. Him and Danny, one of the worst on Gnome. Him and Official, one of the worst on Kings vs. Queens. So when you take that all in and then he lost to Wusa. He lost to Gemini out in the UK, like a couple kind of unclean performances, drops him down to 8, but I had him at 6, kind of had to be talked into it. It's something I probably should have seen going into it. But still a good year for T-Top. Twerk at 7, who just ran through everyone category-wise. This is nothing. I know he started his year bad. Speaking of losses, he lost to T-Top. Had the Clone loss, the Wise loss. I was so heavy on that because I do care about wins and losses a lot, which we're about to talk about, discussing kind of my winner and how my vote went down. But at the end of the day, Big K performance won Body of the Year, Performance of the Year, Heavy. Performance of the year on Power Moves, Performance of the Night on Mass 6, 2 biggest cards of the year. He had Performance of the Night. He beat 40 bars. He bodied J2. Extremely impactful, moment maker. He's got top performances. He's got the top performance. So the good just simply outweighed the bad. And by categories, he was winning a lot. So for me, he was at 12. Probably the biggest difference in my list. Had him at 12. Ended at 7. Congrats to him, man, and I do think he's debatably the best pound-for-pound battle rapper in the world, so not that crazy. And then to finish up the list, Rum Nitty at 6, who had nothing but Battle of the Nights. He had Battle of the Year with Loaded Lux, voted that on the panel, pretty clearly was going to be that. Then Battle of the Night with Sick on Bars Over Politics, Battle of the Night on Kings vs. Queens versus Vixen, Battle of the Night on Outside 3 versus Eunice, Battle of the Night on the Utah card versus Quest COTY. Just on and on. He had the Saint W as well. He lost in a couple smaller leagues. He lost to Keese, lost to Mr. Man, so kind of just choking on battles that don't add up to that much in terms of his higher profile, and they're debatable battles. All these Battle of the Nights are pretty much debatable, so if you got him, I had him losing to Vixen. I think consensus has him losing to Lux. As time have went on, have had him edging it material-wise. I just love what he did. Won the first clear, edge of the third, but a lot of people got him losing to Lux. So you got him losing like 3, 4 of the battles. You could have some variance and drop him a couple spots, but Nitty at 6, pretty good. Sharon at 5, I know he had a perfect year, just that strength of schedule wasn't that high. If only the Ill Will battle happened in 2024, but the Ilmac win, the Danny win, the 40 win, all still good stuff. Chef Trez at 4, always has a ton of work, followed through. Tay-Rock 3-0, great battle with Los Preem, great battle with Fonz. I could go on and on. I can't talk about Trez that long because he has that many battles. Lost to T-Top, you know what I'm saying? I think that might have been one of the only things holding him back. You could maybe argue him at 3 over Swamp. I'm not mad at it, but top 5 again for Chef Trez. Another top 5 year for him. You know what I'm saying? It just goes to show how good Chef Trez has been battling at a top 5 level. And then you have the top 3, Swamp at 3, legacy fights. Calico, T-Rex, A-Verb, Smokes A-Verb, you know what I'm saying? 40 bars victory. The Miss Hustle battle, I had him winning at Gnome. He just did enough. Calico in Detroit, one of the better battles of the year. So Swamp at 3, I think. Even he lost a couple side missions, he's like perfect right there. Goes to show how much of a solidified top tier he is now. And that leaves you with Av, who is 2, then Tay-Rock at 1. And obviously, kind of played out where my vote ended up being the deciding vote, right? It was going to be 3-3 because I had Av originally. And then the fan vote ended up being tied, which we didn't know. And then what would we have done if it was 50-50? Who knows? So why did I start with Av? Although I said I would give Rock criteria, but I got Av. And then why do I switch? Well, first of all, I just love winning, man. And he had a clean year. What more could you ask of Av? I had him winning 10 battles. 9 of them clear. Only debatable was Chef Trez, who's in the top 5, and I still had Av winning. So I just think he had a clean sheet, you know what I mean? And there was so much momentum his way, and then Rock had those couple 30s, you know what I mean? He lost 3-0 to Chef Trez, lost 3-0 to Jazz, but when I started just looking it out, first of all, I made a mistake at first. I made a mistake. I went with, even though I love winning, I knew one guy was higher in criteria, and I tried to like mentally make it make sense. But at the end of the day, I should have went with it. I'm glad that we had the longer talk because I'm not going to do everything perfect, man. I'm here to make the right answer, not just how I feel and force it. I'm here to get down to the objective facts. And when talking with the battlers, talking with my fellow media members, it just made sense, man. It just made sense. And I think they steered me, you know what I'm saying? And then I looked at it, I'm like, damn, Rock has a better battles between Big K battle and Bill battle than any of Av's best battles. And he has a bigger body bag with Reed Dollars than any of Av's biggest body bags. He has all these battles that are about to hit 1 million. His impact is off the wall. His quality is like that. And even with those couple losses, he had twice the amount of battles. He had twice as difficult of a strength of schedule. I had him beating Bill. I had him barely beating Big K. I had him beating Jerry West. I had him beating the dog shit out of Reed Dollars at a serious. Just too much. So it's as simple as I really loved that clean sheet and winning from Av at first. And he had great material and he did some things great. He angled great. Barack was overly impactful. He also rapped extremely good. And he had a far tougher road. So he had a couple more L's, but he also had like way more big, difficult fights. And for me, when you break it down, he's more impactful. He had more moments between the Dirt Devil bar with Loso, the Blue Room joint, you know what I'm saying, with Big K. You count as Big K's moment, but Brock plays into that kind of being a thing. He's got the tapping the camera versus Bill Collector after he lands a haymaker in the second. He just did so many. He's like synonymous. 2024 is synonymous with Tay-Rock. So I had him winning impact, moments, performance. He's one of the best performers of all time, one of the best performers right now in the world. And then strength of schedule, it's a no contest. So with taking those, the right thing to do is to switch it. So did I start out wrong? Yes. You guys deserve to flame me when I was seeing in the live chat what you were doing, 100%. But you bring it back around. That's why you have the talks at the table. I'm so happy we did. And that's why my vote ended up switching, making it 4-2 with a tied fan vote. Who knows if I didn't switch what would have happened, but I did. And I believe 200% we made the right decision. That's why I'm happy. And once again, congratulate Rock for being the 2024 champion of the year. But also want to give some credit to Av. I know he's not the happiest with me. Totally cool. Switching the vote can be tough if you're on the other side of it, and he still had a fantastic year. But I think the right guy got it, and I still think Av is a very honorable runner-up and was one of the best battle rappers of the world in 2024. With that being said, that is my full thought process and breakdown for the 2024 Champion of the Year panel. Hopefully I gave you guys a little bit of insight in the list I had going into it, how I felt about the spots when they actually, made it onto the list officially, thoughts on snubs, who didn't make it, who did, just really any general knowledge there. And of course, as always, particularly with this topic, please, and I'm exhausted. I'm doing this like 2 a.m. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get it to you guys tomorrow morning. But please let me know in the comments down below, man, all of your COTY thoughts. What'd you like about it? What you didn't like? Your thoughts on what I had to say in the panel. Your thoughts on other takes in the panel. The generalness of it. How do you feel about Tay-Rock winning? Do you feel like Av should have won? Someone else? Anything from 1 to 20 in the region of raps, please let me know in the comment section down below. We're always going to get some dialogue started here. Once again, want to thank Jay Black, and it was an honor working with battlers like Chilla, Geechee, EK, my dog Lang, and really just coming to what I thought is one of the more complete lists that we've made for Champion of the Year. I think it was an entertaining panel for you guys, and once again, it's going to be the third or fourth time, but as we should, when we crown our MVPs, our Kings of a Year, they should get the most love possible. So once again, congratulations to Tay-Rock for being the Champion of the Year in 2024. I know he's going to do right by the belt. And out of all the champions to win it, a guy who's been runner-up twice before, very easily could have been a 3-time runner-up this year. Number 7 last year. I know he gave us, even though we were right, he gave us a lot of hell for being number 7 last year. And he said, I'm going to be COTY. He went out there. He found the biggest fights left that he could, even going and giving shots, across on smaller leagues of that nature. And he pulled it out, man. He's very deserving. So like I said, it's been J Smo Reviews again here, y'all. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know anything COTY related. We'll go back and forth. I'm going to catch you on the next one, man. Peace.